Recording cloud. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second week of the Profitable Quiz Funnel 4 weeks workshop. My name is Elvis Okenwa. I'm the implementation specialist at LeadQuizzes, and with me here on the call, I have Don Barivisor. He's the co-founder of LeadQuizzes. We're really excited to have you all here today for the second week. Today we're going to be looking at creating your quiz funnel, and we're going to be showing you how you can develop outcomes and offers that convert, how you can write engaging quiz questions, and how you can set all that up on LeadQuizzes. But my goal for today is to make this workshop as interactive as possible. So in between the different topics, I'm going to be taking a pause, and I'm going to give everyone room to share their experiences, what has worked for them in the past, what hasn't worked for them. I would like from all of us to learn from each other, not just me giving a presentation. All right, so in between the topics, I'm going to take a pause and feel free to share, and we can take it from there. Okay. Now, first, let's take a quick look at those qualities of a great outcome. Now, one, it has to educate those that are currently looking for a solution to a problem. I said last week, the only reason anyone will take your quiz in the first place is because they're hoping to attain some measure of self-discovery at the end of the quiz. So they either want to learn something about their situation, what they're facing, their problems. They want to attain some measure of self-discovery. And the result page is a place for you to educate them and show them that you're an expert on that subject matter. They say first impression matters. So make sure that you show on the result page that you know what you're talking about. You're an expert on that subject matter. Next, it has to be in line with the quiz title. You don't want to have, for example, a quiz title that says, what is your metabolism type? And then for the results, you're giving them something totally different. The outcome has to be in line with the quiz title. So what is your metabolism type? I'm hoping at the end of the quiz, I'm going to find out my metabolism type. And aside from that, I'm going to learn more about that particular type. What car is right for you? At the end of the quiz, I want to find out what car you think is best for me. What home is best for you. So make sure that the outcome you're giving them or the result you're giving them is in line with what the quiz title is. Right now, the third one is it has to be share worthy. Now, remember last week we spoke about the psychology of quizzes, and one of the psychologists were recognition and self-esteem. So when your result or outcome is educative, informative, interesting, and is personalized to the quiz taker, everyone will want to share that. So when creating your outcomes, make sure that you educate them, it's informative, it's interesting, and it's personalized for that particular quiz taker or that particular quiz taker persona, should I say. All right. And that way they will want to easily share it with their friends. All right. So make sure it's share worthy. So try to make your outcomes or results as share worthy as possible. Now, finally, you want to have a call to action with the outcome. You want to show your quiz takers what is the next step. You just don't want to have the outcome, and at the end of it, they don't know what's going on, if they're expecting an email or what they should do next. Something as simple as learn more, visit my website. Or if you have an offer, or you want to send them to your blog page, or you want to get them to schedule a call with you, you can do this on the result page by adding a call to action. So that's very important. Make sure there's a next step and there's a next step. So just don't leave your leads hanging. They should know what the next step is. All right. Now, quickly, let's look at the psychology behind why compelling offers are important. So we spoke about the outcome, which is the result that you give them at the end of the quiz. Now we're going to look at why do we have to actually give an offer? Why is this important? When you start a business, even without an offer, definitely you're going to have those that are, shall I say, early adopters. They will buy your product, they want to try new things, so they will buy your product immediately. But the goal is you want to attract more people or colder traffic to your sales funnel, And some of the blockers or barriers to this is it's likely they've never heard of you before. You know, they are uneducated about your products. They don't understand the value of your offer, which is why you need a compelling offer to overcome these barriers. A compelling offer can come in different shapes and sizes, but it needs to have three main things. And we're going to walk through three of those things in a second. So the first is it has to have the offer itself, which has to be attractive, or a bonus. People love bonuses, and that's a fact. Think about how many times you've been swayed by additional products that have been bundled up with the offer, you know. And I have a couple of examples in here. So we have a case study on Maria Skincare. For anyone that completes her quiz and opts in, they're offered a sample skincare kit for only $10, which comes with the free shipping. They're offered a free ebook, which is called Toxic Free Home Guide. They're given a $10 coupon towards their next purchase. And with this offer, she was able to generate over 200,000 new sales and increase her leads by more than 20,000. You know, so you can say she bundled up so much offers and made it irresistible. Because first, for $10, you get a sample with free shipping, you get a free ebook, and you also get a $10 coupon. So anyone that takes this quiz, lands on her result page, will be definitely interested to see, okay, what next? Gut Rider is the next example I have. After the quiz, they can opt in, they're taken to various offers. So there's a free shipping, there's a discount on particular products. The sales process converted, I think 3%, and he generated about 75,000 leads. So if you check 75,000, 3%, he had about 2,300 sales. So 2,300 people that actually converted and bought the product based on the offers he presented. Okay, so having an attractive offer is very important. Now the next is risk reversal. For risk reversal, those people who do not know your brand or products are definitely going to be wary. How do they know you can offer what you promised, for example? Now, in order to overcome this particular objection, your compelling offer should include some kind of risk reversal. This might be free trial, or it might be money back guarantee after a certain period of time. Either way, it needs to provide a sense of security to new customers so they know that their money is not just going to disappear into thin air. Now I have LeadQuizzes as an example. Now with LeadQuizzes, you get 14 days free trial. You get 30 days money back guarantee. You know, so anyone that comes in, okay, I have 14 days to try the product for free. And even if it goes past 14 days to 30 days, I get my money back if I'm not satisfied. So risk reversal, very important. The next one is urgency and scarcity. All right. Now, adding an expiration date. If you have a compelling offer, you just don't want to let it run forever. You have to have, shall I say, an expiration date. And that way, you're going to kick people to take action. You know, they don't want to miss out on something that is a great deal. And simply by having a countdown, a ticking countdown or a timer on your offer, that does it. So I have Boohoo, for example. They have a 20% discount off everything with a free shipping. And they have a timer that shows when this ends. Okay, Gut Rider also did it. They give you 80% discount, but you see it lasts for 2 hours. It lasts for 1 day. So you need to have that urgency and scarcity angle to your offer so people can actually take action on the spot. All right. Now, before we delve into any other topics, I would like those of us that have created an offer in their funnel in the past, or even those that have an offer going at the moment, to share with us some of their experiences. Like I said earlier on, I would like from everyone from this call to learn from each other. All right, so I'm just going to leave the floor. If you have any offer you've done in the past, or you have something going, if you could please share with us. Stacy, Alex, Kathy.
I am brand new. I am building my first course right now, and I'm wanting to understand how to use quizzes to help build up the audience for that. So I really don't have anything to share because I'm brand new. I've never done this before.
Right. Kati, if after the call, if you could drop in the community post, quick, brief description of your goals, what you're doing at the moment, and schedule a call with me so we can, run through those since you're brand new. Okay.
I would love that. Thank you.
Hey, Stacy, I got a quick question for you. What is your course? What are you going to be teaching?
I am teaching a course on how to buy a franchise business. Mm-hmm. which is really more about, is a franchise business good for you? Because not everybody's a good fit for a franchise.
So you're looking to go from using, let's say, your quiz is a franchise right for you. You're going to be driving that to your the sales page for your course, I assume, right?
Correct.
Okay. The people that you talk to that are looking to buy a franchise, are they still in the discovery phase of like, yeah, should I buy a franchise, or are they just looking for how do I buy a franchise?
Yeah, so there's two audiences that I'm sorry, I was just eating my lunch. I'll take the video off. There's two, there's two audiences that I'm targeting. One is let me rephrase that. Everybody that I'm targeting is like unsatisfied in a corporate job. Mm-hmm. Right? That's kind of the headspace. They're between 40 and 55. They're working in corporate America. They're fed up with it. They're part of this. They want to be part of this great resignation, but they don't know what to do. Right. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of them. They're like, I'm going to start my own business. So that's a broader audience. Then there's an audience that is like, I think I want to buy a franchise, but I don't know enough about franchises or franchising to actually buy. And a lot of those people belong to Facebook groups about franchising. And so there's something called franchise brokers who are essentially salespeople for franchises, and they have a catalog of franchises that they can sell. So many of them are wanting to work with me because they get people coming to them and they spend 9 months educating them before they take any action. So they're of the belief that if we can get people through my course, it'll be a shorter sales cycle for them. So that's kind of the two audiences. The broad, I want to start a business, I have no idea where to begin. Or the, I think I want to buy a franchise, but I don't really know enough about it to even know if that's a good option for me.
Okay, so just taking a look at what you just told me, if I was in your shoes, what the quiz that I would probably develop is, should I start a business or buy a franchise? Mm-hmm. You know, and just so first you can it allows you to segment the people who maybe are looking for just to buy a business. And also, it also allows you to maybe at the end, what I would do at the end is, instead of just driving straight to a course, because that's going to be a hard offer right off the bat, like, hey, I just finished a quiz, drive straight to a course. What I would probably do is maybe drive to, let's say, a 45-minute presentation or like a mini webinar covering the value of buying a franchise over starting a new business. You know?
So I did write an ebook on that. Mm-hmm. So I could immediately send them to an ebook before a webinar course.
Yeah, you can test an ebook, or you can test also just, it doesn't even have to be like a full-blown webinar. It could just be like a sales presentation or some sort of presentation. Highlight.
A free Q&A on franchising?
Yeah, or just like maybe I would recommend doing like a video, a little bit more education around buying a franchise, because I'm sure it's a pretty intense process. And I think a video would do a really good job of doing that, because I'm in the middle of buying a business right now, and I wish I had a presentation on on it, you know.
Yep.
So that's what I would do. Then afterwards, you can have maybe 15 or 20 minutes in that video presentation where you drive to your comprehensive course covering the rest of, you know, what steps you need to do in order to buy a franchise. And I'm sure that's probably what your course covers, right?
So yeah, in the course, I actually have 2 private labeled assessments that they take in the first week, which is a motivator assessment and a core competency assessment. So then we want to align those with the types of franchises they even consider.
Okay. Yeah. So you can, I would just make sure, like what Elvis said at the end of your quiz, to try to make sure you create a sense of urgency with whatever you decide to present next, whatever call to action you decide to take. Just so your quiz takers don't feel like, hey, yeah, I can come back to this later, you know, because right when you have when they're taking the quiz is when you have their attention, and they're probably most likely going to continue down your sales funnel.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Alex, what are your offers that you're offering for your quiz takers right now?
I haven't figured out. I mean, I've been doing this, you know, on and off now for like 2 years, and we haven't had any. I haven't figured out what, you know, haven't had much success. So that's one reason I signed up for this workshop. So I have 2 different projects I'm doing that are very different that are very different industries. So one is similar to Stacy. I'm a business broker. I help people sell their business. And so one of the things I like to do is figure out, like, is there a way I can create a quiz that, maybe a quiz like, should you sell your business yourself? Take this quiz to find out, because then if they think they can do it on their own, and the quiz kind of tells them that, saying, well, you're not, there's all these things that you're probably not prepared to do on your own, then maybe you want to talk to a broker. So that's one idea that I had. So I'll pause there, and then I'll based on your feedback, I'll give you the other one I'm trying to figure out.
So Alex, I'm sorry to jump in. I just sold my franchise, and I used a business broker to sell it. So I'd be happy to have a conversation with you offline about the challenges that I faced before I got the broker.
Oh, so, I would love that. Yeah, like say.
It's kind of like what went through my head, so it might help you develop the quiz.
Sure. Yeah, because I love that. Maybe we can exchange information in the chat or something.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So that's one idea that I had. At least that's one thought that I had. Is it pronounced Dornubari? Donaberry, yeah. So that's one idea. I didn't know that was the right track or not.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. I think coming from the other side, where I'm actually looking to buy a business right now, I know one of the things that the person I'm trying to buy the business from is he wants to make sure that he's not leaving any money on the table, that he's getting the full value for his business. So maybe like the angle that you might be able to take with your quiz is, are you leaving money on the table by not using a business broker?
Right. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I wanted to pick a number, right? Most of the companies that I deal with on the low end are $500,000, and it goes as high as 10 million. So conservatively, like when I sold my first company years ago, I left $400,000 of cash on the table, right? So that was an interesting, wake up call. Realize that, a couple of years later. But because that range is so wide, what I basically say, like, are you leaving, at least $100,000 on the table, or because otherwise it's too vague, right? Are you leaving money on the table? Well, if I'm only leaving $2,000, why would I go pay somebody 10%? Whatever. So is that the idea? Are you leaving $100,000
buyers or sellers?
I'm sorry.
Are you looking for buyers or sellers?
For this quiz, I'm looking for sellers. I have other efforts looking for buyers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that number is a great hook because what I've seen just looking to buy a business myself is that people have all of these like perceptions of what their business is actually worth versus what the appraisal value comes back at, and everybody
Oh no, that never happens. Oh my God, like what are you talking about? Jeez.
So I think coming out with a hook where it's, are you leaving over $100,000 on the table by not using a broker, it might actually be a really good angle that you can use for your quiz.
Right. Now, I guess my question is like, do you want to, I guess we'll have to split test it. Do we really want to basically telegraph the fact that I'm a broker, or just kind of let the quiz done say, hey, the solution, like you'll probably make these mistakes, and the solution to this is to use a broker? Because business brokers as a whole have a very, very, let's just say less than flattering reputation. I think they're like one step below pond scum in most people's mind. So, I think if my concern is if you put that like right up front, most people say, I'm not going to deal with these guys. Or it's, like if you, anyway, like I said, it's going to be open to split testing. So,
yeah, I think you test it, but honestly, I think it's going to come down more to the education that you provide those leads that come through your quiz. Because I think that's where the breakdown, and my accountant, when I was looking, like I'm in the process of buying this business, like business brokers, he said kind of the same thing, but I ended up using a business broker because I felt that I was being educated, and I didn't want to do it. And most people don't want to go through that process themselves because it requires so much work, and they probably already have other things that they have to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think just if you provide education afterwards and that they can't find anywhere else, I think you're going to overcome that pretty easy.
Yeah. And I think Stacey will be very, very helpful with that. So I do have another quiz I need help with, but I'll let somebody else come in, and we have time. I'll come back to my second questions.
I want to add something, Alex.
Sure.
Sorry, yeah, I want to add something. So, Alex, if you're not looking to, let's say, go for front with saying you're a broker, because people are, let's say, should I say, repulsive to brokers. All right.
That's a very polite way of saying it.
That's a very polite way. All right. Now,
let's keep it PG, okay?
Another thought could be something like, do you have what it takes to sell your business for the highest value? That could be an idea. So that way, based on the questions, you're going to try to educate them and let them know, okay, based on the questions they answer, they don't really have what it takes. So they need a broker.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing too. So yeah, thank you.
All right.
Anybody else?
Kathy spoke. Yeah, all right. I think that's all now.
If we have time, I'd love to ask a second one. This one might hopefully be a little bit easier if we have time. Nobody else is going to ask a question.
Yeah, sure. Ahead, I think Alex, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is this is more for client project versus my own business. I have so we and maybe I'm overthinking this, but we have the offer is really a group program showing people how to basically get more fit and and be healthier. And so I guess up front, is it more like is it like well, I don't want to say do you have what it takes to be in the best shape of your life, but like is it something more like along the line of like are you like his secret sauce is like he can get people results with 10 or 15 minutes of workout, because most people think you have to go to the gym for an hour or two, and that's why most people just kind of give up because it just seems too time consuming. His approach is he's figured out 80-20 this thing, so you can work out like 15 minutes and get as good or better results than people going to the gym. So I was asking like is it like are you over? I think one of the questions you had, Elvis, was that are you overtraining or something like that? That's kind of what I was thinking along that line of, right? Are you spending too much time at the gym to get the results that you want or something like that? But now my question is that does that end up being a yes/no question, or is that what you want in your headline?
So if you're referring to the template we have, Alex, are you overtraining or undertraining? I think we have a template like that. I can't really remember what the questions look like, but what I would say is, so for example, you can have a quiz that says, are you wasting time in the gym during this COVID period? Or do you have what it takes to work out from home? Right? So you can have a quiz title, do you have what it takes to work out from home? Or you can also go to the fact that during this COVID period, lots of people don't want to be in the gym, and people believe that going to the gym is where they get the most, shall I say, results. And if your plan is he gets, let's say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the person still gets the same result of spending an hour, 2 hours in the gym. You can target the COVID pandemic, or you can try to go through the angle of you can get the same results right now, than what you're doing in the gym with the shorter time. All right. So are you wasting time? Are you wasting so much time in the gym? Or are you wasting so much time? Or, just think around that angle. Okay, maybe we can schedule a call. I'll think more about it. We can schedule a call to delve into it. But yeah, I think I've seen a lot of quizzes that have done well. Yeah, dig on. And it's something.
Alex, what I would like a quiz that I might just consider testing is what's truly holding you back from your fitness goals, just to get an idea as to what exactly they're doing, and then being able to position your guy that you're working with as, hey, we know, like, just being able to like debunk some of the ideas behind what they think fitness is, or for, like, why they're not hitting their fitness goals, right? What's holding you back from hitting your fitness goals this year? And in there, on the results page, you give them their results and you walk them through like, hey, you answered X, Y, and Z. And so but all of these things that you have around fitness is actually not true. And this is why it's not true. And then you introduce your guys' program to them as to like, hey, this is how it should be done, where you don't have to work out for 60 minutes every time you go to the gym. You can actually do 15 to 20-minute workouts and get the same results. And this is why. And the way you're currently approaching the gym, going to the gym, is actually holding you back from your fitness goals.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Anyone else? I guess we can move on. So next, we're going to look at tips for writing engaging questions. And I think, Alex, you were asking if the questions should be more like a statement, yes or no, or if you should have full-blown answer options. All right. So we're going to cover that in here. Now, the number one tip, right? The number one tip is number of questions, then question content, question length, type of language, quiz question with image answers. And we're going to go through each of these tips. One of the factors that can make or break your quiz success is how many questions you have in there. All right. Now, although quizzes are very fun to do, an average quiz taker won't have more than a few minutes to complete your quiz. So always have that at the back of your mind. If you're creating, for example, a trivia quiz, you need to make sure that there's at least enough questions to allow for some kind of ranking or scoring, in that quiz. So you don't want to create a trivia quiz where you want to give them a score and you have 4 questions or 5 questions. If I took that quiz, it wouldn't make so much sense to me, So make sure you have enough questions in there to at least allow for some kind of ranking for trivia quizzes. You could have up to 10, but it can go as much as 20 for trivia quizzes. But on the other hand, if you're writing quiz questions that are aimed at generating leads for your business, be very careful, as too many questions can make the quiz taker give up before they're even done with the quiz. All right. So from our own research, 8 to 10 questions is the sweet spot. All right. I think at about 70% of quizzes, of best performing quiz on LeadQuizzes, have at least 10 questions. All right. So 8 to 10 is the sweet spot. All right. But depending on your business, it can go as more than that, 11, 12. All right. Now, the next tip is the question content. First, keep your question on topic. So for example, asking your quiz taker about what's your favorite breakfast food in a quiz that is titled, what kind of home will make you the happiest? It doesn't make sense. How does their breakfast have to do with what home will make them the happiest? It's deceiving, so make sure that they get exactly what you promised them when they opted into your quiz, right? Now, next, whenever you can, try to use humor, try to be witty. It's a good element for your quiz because it encourages participants to make them complete the quiz, all right? It also shows that you have personality, and that your company have its own unique brand voice, all right? So a little bit of humor can really go a long way in building that engagement and trust, right? Next, make your quiz interesting. Okay, so I have two examples. If I asked you what one of the items what one of the items you cannot go with every day, or if you were in a stranded island, which of this would you take? Which of those questions will you answer? If you were like me, I would go for if you were in a stranded island, which of this would you take? So try to make your questions interesting. The more unusual and unpredictable the questions are, the more engaging they will be to the quiz taker. Now, finally, don't try to be smart. I don't mean this in a traditional way, I mean, for example, form your quiz questions so that they don't trick your audience. If you do that, you're really playing a losing game. The participants will tell, in that case, the participants will spend time cracking their head and their brains around what does this question mean instead of enjoying the quiz. And chances are they will drop off before they even get to the end of the quiz. All right, so good quiz questions hit the sweet spot when they're not too hard and not too easy, okay? Next, let's look at the question length. Now, majority of high-performing quizzes and LeadQuizzes, the question and the answers, if you look at them, they're fairly short. So short questions are practical because it makes the quiz taker be able to answer the quiz in a matter of seconds or minutes. Have in mind that every day your quiz takers are bombarded with different contents all day long. And if you can help them save a little bit of time with your quiz, they will really appreciate it. All right, so the questions and how you make them, try to make them as short as possible. Don't spend too much time cracking your head, thinking you're so smart, you want to put languages in the questions that, yeah, just try to make them simple, short, sweet. But I don't mean dumb, don't dumb it out. Don't dumb the questions out. You can still be an expert in what you do, show that you're an expert, but try to make them simple and short.
And I'll just add one more thing to that.
Yeah.
Just also keep in mind that about 85% of your quiz takers will be coming from mobile, and keeping it short also allows them to see the full length of your quiz questions directly on their device without having to scroll at the same time.
I think one of the biggest issues is, I know probably someone will ask, okay, how do we make the questions shorter? A tip is you can change your questions to statements, for example, and that way you can now use answer options like rarely, sometimes, never, always, frequently, true, false, So that's a way to do it. Change your questions to statements, and yeah, you can do all that. All right. Before we jump into the next one, does anyone have any feedback or anything they have to say about the quizzes they've run before, what they've noticed about the question lengths, if they've done any testing to find the sweet spot for them with regards to question lengths? Stacy, Alex, Kathy. All right, I'm just gonna jump to the next tip. Now, the next is the type of language. Now, obviously, the kind of language you're going to use is going to depend on which your target audience, how much you know about them, how much do they know about the subject matter, and what effects are you trying to produce. But ultimately, the one, should I say, piece of advice for all quiz creator is spare your words. Don't use overly complicated terms that your audience won't be able to understand. All right. Remember, the goal is to make the quiz taker complete the quiz, not for them to think how smart you are. All right. From the previous example, let me just go up. Right. So from this one, from the previous example, this one, the language, you can see it's simple. I have sufficient quality time spent with my family. It's easy to understand. Even if you're not a native English speaker, you can understand the answer options, true, false, sometimes, and on one other thing, when you have this kind of answer options, it creates momentum for the quiz taker. So they know that, okay, all the answer options are similar. After 1, they go to 2, they go to 3, and in less than 10, 15 seconds, they're done with your quiz, rather than spending time reading through each answer options, cracking their head, all right? And finally, quiz questions with image answers. Now, there's a saying that picture is worth 1,000 words, all right? So in the case of quizzes, images can make a huge difference to your quiz. Facts, 65% of people are visual learners, and over 90% of information that's coming to the brain is visual, all right? Now, on top of that, presentations with visual elements have 43% more persuasive. So if you look at all those facts, and even if you look at the BuzzFeed, the best performing BuzzFeeds out there, you will see they have images. So if there's a way you can add images to your questions, try to do that. People are more prone to images, and it resonates more. All right. So image questions perform really well. Does anyone have any quizzes at the moment with image questions that they want to share?
The question I have, Elvis, is with regards to copyright. So like, I'm thinking about franchises, right? But I'm thinking that I wouldn't be allowed to use their logos because they were probably copywritten. Do you know?
No. Did you have an idea?
Yeah, I think if you can you don't necessarily have to use their specific logo, but you can use, let's say, for example, McDonald's. You can use a picture of McDonald's, like a restaurant. And you can use like pixel.com. I just put it in there. Yeah, okay. To like type in just McDonald's and grab that. But also what you can do is your answers for your quizzes can also sometimes just be images instead of just being text as well.
Okay.
So using Canva to just like customize like a quick image, it doesn't have to say like branded McDonald's, but it could just be something that's a little bit more visual as well. All right.
And also, when you use images, it can help you avoid having lengthy answer options. And if, let's say, you can't think of a way to make your quiz witty, you can find images to just add that humor to your quiz, So, yeah. All right, so finally, but before I go into, I want to show you us quickly how we can, just a quick demo of how you can set up all this in LeadQuizzes. And I know maybe almost all of us already know how to do that. Okay, I see Stacy is saying no. All right, but before I show you guys the quick demo, does anyone have a quiz they've created that they want to share with us? I will let you share your screen. Let's just see how you did it, how you went about doing it, if you had any challenge, if you had any success. I'm speaking to Alex.
I know Kathy has some quizzes that she's created.
So let me unmute here. I've been kind of silent here on this call. My quizzes are a little bit different purpose-wise. Let me see. I don't know if it's appropriate to share or not. So we're very targeted in our marketing, and the people that come to us are prospects that we are going to quote, and we are using it. And I think there's another gentleman on the call, a financial advisor, who's doing it this way to collect data. So it's our fact finding, and we've actually pre-screened them before they get to this. So it's somebody has been referred to our office, they're turning 65. We sell, I sell group health insurance, but I also do Medicare. So it's somebody turning age 65, they need a supplement and drug coverage or Medicare Advantage. And I used to take this information over the phone. I used to have an intake sheet, manually do it. And in the process of trying to automate our sales process and shorten the length of time that I spend on the phone with them, I'm having them fill out a form. So our quiz is a form of gathering data on somebody we've already pre-screened, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So we're trying to quote, and then we created multiple forms. We have one for international travel. I was selling individual health. We have some people that just put in all their drugs, listed all their drugs. We'd like to create more, but that's where we're at right now.
All right, and how's the intake form working out for you guys in terms
Beautifully. It's wonderful. It's amazing. I've actually tweaked it. My office manager, who's way younger than me and a millennial and can figure this stuff out, he actually created the form, and then we had a college intern and we had her do another one, and I was like, here, go at it, So she found the photo. It was kind of cool because it was a world map with an airplane on it. So people that are traveling internationally that call us for quotes, it was a very painful process where my office manager would talk to them, find out where they were going, get the dates, type out a lengthy email, send it to them, wait for the information. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So we've tried to automate our process, and it works really well.
So once you guys get the data, what do you guys usually do with that, if you don't mind me asking?
Run quotes. So they're at the point of needing quotes, and they're saying, yes, I'm ready. And so we actually don't send them the quiz, and we don't have it out there on our website for anybody that doesn't fall within certain markers. They have to be enrolled in Medicare. We have a couple of steps that we have them go through first before we send them the quiz. Because we don't want people to waste our time who we can't help.
Yeah, Alex?
Yeah, I haven't really done, I have a tech guy that does a lot of this. So does your software allow you to have different thank you page URL depending on the outcome of the quiz? For example, if I have a personality test that has 4 potential outcomes, depending on which one of the personality type these folks fall into, can we have different pages? Because then I like to be able to customize the video that says, hey, you're, a introvert, right? This is what you need, blah, 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 right? You're an extrovert, blah, blah, blah. You're a hybrid, blah, blah, blah. You're kind of like a weirdo, blah, 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 whatever.
So Alex, with LeadQuizzes, there are 2 ways you can present your result. The first is you can either create the result on our platform itself, and I'm going to show you in a second. Let me just show you. So let's exit this. All right, so you can either create the results using the result builder, and what that looks like, you can add text, you can add images, you can add videos, all right? You can build call to action buttons and hyperlink them, all right? So that is one way. You can actually build a landing page on LeadQuizzes using the result builder, okay? Now the second way is we have the URL redirect. So now let's say you want to build out your different personas on different pages on your website, okay, and you want to direct them based on the way they answer the questions to your quiz to one of those pages. You can use the URL redirect to do that. So you simply drag and drop it, you put in the URL in here. And once they get to the end of the quiz, they get redirected to that page that has the results in there. Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. So just a quick demo for Stacy, Kathy, Alex. All right. Now, very important. LeadQuizzes, we have over 7 to 8 templates. So you don't really have to create a quiz from scratch. Okay, you can come into one of these templates. We have them for different industries. Okay, you can upload it onto your platform, to your account, and you can simply edit it and use it, or you can even use it that way, you know, if it's in line with what you're trying to achieve. Okay, but if you want to create a quiz from scratch, we have the create from scratch in here. Now, when you click on this, we have two kinds of logics in which you can create your quizzes with. We have the outcome logic and the scoring logic. Now, the difference is this: with the outcome logic, you give a correlation between the question answers and the results. And at the end of the quiz taker gets the results, you know, that has the most correlation based on the way they answer the questions. But with the scoring logic, you assign weights to the answer options. And at the end of the quiz taker gets a score. So they can see, for example, out of 100, they scored 50, or out of 100, they scored 20, okay? So depending on what kind of quiz you want to create, you select either the outcome logic or the scoring logic, all right? So once you do that, you put in the content name in here, which is only visible for you to identify this quiz. So for example, I'm just gonna call this test, and then you click continue. And then you get to the builder, okay? Now there are 5 different tabs: build, design, configure, share, and report. Under the build tab, everything that has to do with adding the cover page, the quiz questions, the results, giving the logic. If you want to personalize the flow, maybe add some logic branching, you can do all that under the build tab. And it's as easy as drag and drop. So cover page, you drag it to the start screen, you put in the title, put in the description, put what you want the button to say, and you see a preview right away, okay? I'm not gonna create this from the start, so I'm just gonna jump into one of the templates. So I show you, let's use this one. All right, so that's the cover page, title, description, button, title, description, button. All right, for the questions, we have text questions or image questions. And you can have a combination of text and image questions on the same quiz, okay? So for example, these are image questions, and so on. And if you go further, these are text questions. All right, and to add this is still the same process. You drag it, you drop it, you put in the question, you can put in a description. And for the answer options in here, so you can just say male, it's a female, and you can add as many answers as possible. And if it's a situation where you want them to select more than one answer, you enable the multiple selection in here. And that way they can answer more than one option, okay? Now, let's say you have your questions dialed in. The next step is, if you want to use this for lead generation, you want to add your form field. So they can fill in their name, email, phone number, depending on what information you want to collect. Now for the form field, we have the elements. You simply drag it and drop it. It opens up this way. We have the form header, where you can fill in the information to get your results. You can add more description in there. And then you have the different forms. So we have first name, last name, email, phone number, long, short. We have all these forms. We have the check boxes, and we have the drop down. All right, so with these forms, you can basically gather whatever information you want from your audience. But bear in mind, the more fields you have in here, the less your conversions. If you're not like Kathy that is using this for, yeah, so the more fields, the less. So usually you take first name, email, so you can send them a first follow-up, all right? Or if you need the phone number for your team to give them a call, you can also include the phone number, okay? Now, once you have the questions, the form, and the cover page dialed in, the next step is to add your results. Now, like I explained before, you can have it in 2 ways. Either you build it on our platform or you build it on your website and you redirect them to the page. All right. Now on our platform, I think it's really user-friendly and you can do a lot. You can actually customize this to look like a landing page. You can use Canva to build different kinds of buttons, different kinds of offers, and you simply add them in here and hyperlink it, and it redirects them to your website or the page on your website where you have that offer in particular. Okay. Okay, now once you have your results dialed in, for the outcome logic, now remember I said initially, with the outcome logic, you give the correlation between the question answers and the results. So what I'm saying is, how does the system knows which of this result to give the quiz taker at the end of the quiz? All right, you have to basically specify, you have to give the logic. Now to do this, you go to the question that you want to have an effect on the result. So let's say, for example, you have a quiz that has 10 questions. Now, it's not compulsory that the whole 10 questions should affect the result. There may be just engaging questions in there that shouldn't have an impact on the results, all right? So for those questions that you want to have an effect on the results, you simply go to the question, click on the mapping icon, which is this one. Once you click on it, you're going to see the question, the answer options, and all the results you have. So on your part, just give the correlation. So which of these answers matches what result? And then you save it. All right. And you can do multiple mapping. So let's say, for example, this also relates to this person or this group. You can also do that. All right. Now, what happens is at the end of the quiz, our system is going to check which of these results has the most correlation based on the answers the quiz taker chose. And that result will be pulled out for the quiz taker. Okay. And that also relates to the URL redirect. If you have the results URL redirect, at the end of the quiz, the system will check which of those results has the most correlations based on the answers the quiz taker chose, and the quiz taker will be redirected to that page. All right, so it applies to both, the results you create on our platform and the ones you create on your landing page. Now, next, I want to show you is the logic branching. Now, let's say, for example, you want to personalize the flow of your quiz. So for example, if you take a look at this quiz, if I answer male, the next question are images of males. If I say I'm 30, it shows 30. This is personalized. Based on the answer I choose, the next question relates to the previous answer, all right? Now you can achieve this. Let me just go back. If I say female, for example, it's going to show images of females. If I say I'm 40, it's going to show 40 and images of females, all right? Now, how you can achieve this is by using the logic branching feature we have, which is this tree icon, all right? Now, with this logic branching, what can you do? You can basically, so LeadQuizzes goes in order. When they answer question 1, they get to question 2, they get to question 3. But with this logic branching, you can break that order, all right? So you can say, based on the way they answered question 1, jump them to question 4. Or based on the way they answered question 1, jump them to the form or to a result, all right? So you can also use this to disqualify leads. For example, let's say the first question you have is a qualifying question. Let's say, for example, how much is your yearly income? And you're looking for all those that are earning above 100,000. All those that say below, there's no need, taking them through the entire quiz question. You can direct them straight to a result page that says, you don't meet the specifications for this particular whatever. All right. So you can also use the logic branching to do that, and you can use it to personalize the flow. All right.
Elvis, can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you go, can you go back to that last page?
This one, sure.
So they both say jump to what is your age? So how does it know which one?
All right, so if I click in here, let me just go back a bit. Now you can see those that answer male, they get to see question number 2 to question number 13. Those that answer female, they start from 13 to question number 25.
Got it. Okay,
so
thank you.
It's basically a repeat of questions, but I just jumped them to the next one and they continue that way. All right.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions with regards to setting up the
We've
quiz?
used logic branching. So when we have a husband and wife and we ask if you are answering this for your spouse as well, If it says yes, it opens up a series of questions. If it says no, then it closes it. Same thing with, do you take medications? If they say yes, then it opens up so that they can list them all out. Otherwise, it just skips. So.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
Yeah, the part I was confused about is the answer is the same for both.
Yeah.
Because whether they answer male or female, it jumps to what is your age. But now I see how it's different.
And I think if you could implement logic branching in your quiz to personalize the flow, that makes the quiz taker feel that you're actually listening to them in particular. That helps a lot. That helps in the completion rates. All right. Did you want to add anything with regards to this?
No, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay.
Question. My question is, you were talking about the results builder. I don't know how we would use that, but we do have a question in the quiz that says, do you know anything about this? Are you interested in this? Would you like us to send you an email? So what happens with the quiz when it's done, it comes to our office. I send it to an admin who runs quotes, enters all their information in our quoting engine. I review it. We make an agenda. I reach out to them with my calendar link. We schedule a phone call, and then we go over the results. But if they say yes to 2 questions that we ask for more information, somebody manually has to send that information in an email. Is there a way to automate that in LeadQuizzes, or I have to use a different system to do that?
So Kathy, just to understand you correctly, if they answer 2 questions in a particular way, they are disqualified and someone has to follow up with them manually.
No, in all cases, they're not disqualified, but if they say, yes, I want more information.
Okay.
Is there a way? I guess I don't think there's a way to send an email with that information from the quiz. You have a landing page. You just showed me the results builder.
Yeah.
Which could we put that information on a landing page for them to read about? I don't know. We're taking that quiz back, and if they say yes to a question, I want more information, we have to manually send it to them.
If the information is generic for all those, for everyone that say answers the question that particular way, I think you can create, using the result builder, you could create, a landing page with all the information. And that way you can logic branch all those that answer that question in a particular way and they get the result.
Yay. I think that's a great idea. That would be one less thing that we have to do if we just,
If you have technicalities with regards to setting that up, you could just schedule a call and we can look over it together. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Alex, Kathy, Stacy?
No, I'm good.
Yep. For me, I'm certainly going to need to just speak with you guys on it because you're answering a lot of the questions that I had in my mind about the lead quiz and how to move from point A to point B that I'm not utilizing like right now. So I think it'll help for me to speak with you guys personally because I'm doing what Kathy is doing, trying to basically lead capture. So I'm just not utilizing it probably as effective as she's doing right now because, we just operate a little bit differently, but I certainly want to get to the point to where it's more streamlined and I'm able to go from point A to point B and have those quizzes outline a certain result, like to make sure I can disqualify someone who's taking that quiz. And so that you guys are definitely getting to a lot of my questions. So just keep it.
I don't know. Yeah, Carson, just take some time and schedule some call with me. If you could do that today, maybe even schedule 2-3 calls, book a couple of slots for next week, so we can get that rolling.
Absolutely.
All right. For next week, I think this is the part where Carson also was interested in. For next week, we're going to be talking about how to target the right type of traffic for your business. We're also going to be looking at 5 traffic source that works really well with quizzes. And we're going to be showing you how you can build an evergreen quiz funnel traffic system. Now, what the last part means is we're going to be showing you how, using your website, you can always generate leads. Okay, so as far as you have traffic going into your website, we're going to show you how you can implement lead quizzes on different parts of your website to capture leads. All right, so that's what we're going to do for next week. I'm going to drop the link to this recording after this call, and I'm also going to drop the link to my calendar for you to schedule on the call. And I'm also going to drop a link for the next week, for the next week's workshop. All right, so please book for next week, and yeah.
I already dropped the link for booking with Elvis in the Zoom chat, so anyone can just copy that as well.
All right. So final call. Does anyone have any questions, any comments, something they want to go over?
No,
I'll say one more thing. Since we're having Donobari on these calls, for the next call, you guys should think about, because Donobari is really, really vast when it comes to marketing strategies. So think about questions that you want to ask him to help you out in your business, not even with regards to the presentation, in a broader perspective, okay? And that way he can answer most of the questions, just so we get more value, all right?
You're putting me on the spot, Elvis.
I know you got this, Lee, come on. All right then, if no more questions, everyone should have a lovely day. It's almost 9 p.m. my time, so.
Thanks so much, guys, for this session.
Yeah,
Thanks
you.
for staying awake, Elvis.
Talk to you guys later.
Thank you very much, guys.
It was a
Cheers,
good
bye.
session.
Everybody.
Get some
See ya.
sleep.
Bye.